The other thing about Marcia is if you criticize her, she will be devastated. Marcia's can be emotional and spend days in bed because they're emotional and depressed. Patty is very sweet and gentle, very laid back. She goes with the flow. Patty can have 15 children and not be bothered. She backs down from all conflict, but if you cross her, she will just very quietly do what she wants to do. And Patty's can be passive aggressive. And usually by the time they're moms and they're homeschooling moms, they're not going to be passive aggressive with their children. But Patties are very, usually get caught, like connected with a Carla. And a Carla will say, look, Patty, this is what you should do. And Patty will say, okay. And then Patty will start it and it will be too much work, so she'll just stop doing it but never tell Carla. You know what I'm saying? That's how Patties are. They just don't like to make waves. So she's very faithfully serves, very quietly in the background, and she's very devoted to her children. So she's a mom who's very content to let her children shine. A sanguine mom will usually go up and take the microphone and join her children while they're doing something. So that's kind of the difference. Patty, though, is very relational, too. And her relationship with her children is much more important than getting the job done, okay? So Marcia and Carla are very task-oriented. Patty and Susie are very relational-oriented. So they're going to be very in tune to their children's emotions, and we'll talk about that later. Cody and Caroline. Cody and Caroline Caloris, children. They are very task-oriented. They wake up each morning and say, Mom, what are we doing today? They want the plan. They're not really concerned with who they're going to see. They're not really concerned about the temperature outside. They just want to know what's going to be done today. Cody and Caroline think that they can do things better than you can as a homeschool mom. And they often give you advice. They often push their agenda very hard. They often have advice for how to discipline the other siblings. So, they are very task-oriented. They like to plan. They like to organize themselves, and they love to organize other people. Like, they may not make their own bed, but by golly, they will let you know that the rest of the kids have not made theirs. The biggest thing that Cody and Caroline need is very strong leadership. Now, I will tell you something about every time I've met someone and they've said to me, oh yeah, from the time I was about 10 or 11, I just kind of raised myself, I did whatever I wanted to do. They are always Cody or Caroline, always. And they usually have a parent that's a phlegmatic or a sanguine. The sanguine just didn't notice. And the phlegmatic just didn't want to fight it. And so these kids, and when you have this personality type in your home, clear, strong boundaries, you cannot back off. They are honestly, for a lot of homeschool moms, they're the hardest because, now if they're godly, they can really be a blessing because they can help you with the younger children. They can help you, like my Juliana, who is a Caroline. She basically took care. She was a junior in college, and I said to her, honey, I'm so swamped. Can you take care of getting Jenny Rose into college? And she did everything for me. And Jenny Rose is a Patty. You know, she is very laid back, and I tend to be. We both tend to be very laid back. And Juliana just had us. Okay, Mom, you need to fill out this form and this form and this form. I'm going to check with you in 2 days and make sure you did it. And so I appreciated that because I can make myself be very organized and administrative. But if someone else is going to do it for me, I would prefer that. And so. So they can really be a blessing, especially if they're among the older things. So the most important thing when you're dealing with Cody and Caroline is to make the tasks very clear. You can actually change your plans with them. They're not moved by that so much. You just have to make everything very, very clear. And so this is what I want you to finish. If you don't do that, this is what will happen. You know, if you're having problems with them getting their schoolwork done, all you have to say to a cleric is, listen, you need to finish this. If you don't, you're not doing this. It's very clear. They're very cut and dry, very practical. They don't take things personally. You can have a conflict with them, and they're not going to walk away and sulk. They're not going to stomp around. You know, they'll fight you hard. When they lose gracefully, and it's over. And that's the great thing about that. The hardest thing is the battle, and you will have constant battle with clerics. Constant. They will not stop. Sanguines. Sanguines wake up in the morning and say, who are we going to see today? That is the most important thing to them. They do not care at all about finishing their schoolwork. They do not have a motivation to do anything at all, really, in their life. They have to motivate a sanguine to accomplish things. You have to relate it to fun or to people. So the most important thing in dealing with a sanguine is to motivate. Like, I get a ton done in my life, but I always thought I was more sanguine and caloric. But I realized that the Lord has taught me over the years that every single thing I do for people. When I write books, I write them for people. I imagine people. When I wash my dishes, I imagine washing my dishes for my children. Like, I have to be constantly motivating myself by people, because finishing a task, my husband's caloric, he'll say, don't you feel good that that's finished? And I say, no. I mean, no, it doesn't, like, finishing things just doesn't bring me any joy. But people do. And so that tends to be the focus when I'm accomplishing things. And so you have to, every personality can be trained to be productive, to be efficient, to be godly, to be submissive, but you have to think about what motivates them. And so when someone's motivated by people, if you change all your plans with the sanguine, they will be happy. They'll say, oh, I'm so glad, you know, because I already knew this was happening and I'd rather do this instead. That's great, you know, so they kind of bounce back. They're very emotional, though. They can flare up in an instant, but it disappears pretty quick. So if you have a sanguine that's upset, they'll stomp their feet and they might yell, and now they should be disciplined because they shouldn't do that. But I'm just telling you, their anger is quick, and then it's gone. They love an audience. They're very easily distracted. Sanguines are very easily distracted. They will sneak on Facebook. They will text. You do have to, like, keep your eye on them because they would rather be with people. Now, I was a sanguine. I did not get much work done in school. And so I was on the phone doing my homework, and I did do really well in school by the grace of God, but I don't know how. So college, I really had to learn to study. But sanguines like the big picture. So when you're teaching them, they like to know what's the overall idea. A caloric will say, just give me the facts. What do I need to know? Sanguine, they really don't care about facts. They really don't care about information. They don't care about details. They want to know how everything fits in the big picture. If you can't fit something into a big picture, they are not interested. So, when you're teaching sanguines, a great way to teach sanguines is biographies, is stories, focusing on real people, ideas, and how this flowed into this and how everything fits together. If you can do that for sanguine, you can keep their attention. They will be the ones who will gravitate toward, you know, those magazines that have people on the front, celebrities and stuff. They'll like stuff like that. They always want to know about people. So if you think about that when you're homeschooling. Matt and Molly. When Matt and Molly wake up in the morning, they say, is it morning already? Because usually they've been up late last night brooding about something in their bed and not sleeping. Or they have been working on some project. It might be some science project, it might be a song they're writing, it might be an art project, but they will just, they tend to put all their time and energy into one thing. They get very focused on one thing, and they can't concentrate on anything else. So if they're upset about something, and you say to a melancholic, okay, put that out of your mind, and let's focus on this right now. They can't do it. Now, a caloric can do it. A sanguine can barely keep their focus on anything. So, but when you get to the melancholic, they have a really hard time doing that. You're going to have to walk them through their problems. You're going to have to teach them to handle their emotions. Their emotions aren't like the sanguine. Sanguine has very intense emotions, then they're gone. The caloric can have an intense emotion and then it's over. But in the melancholic, which is they can become depressed, they have to really watch their emotions. You can see the trouble brewing between a caloric and a melancholic in this way, because they just don't realize how deeply emotional